I'm Sean Hotley, and I have my Jimmy John's order tattooed on my arm because I've struggled with anxiety since I was 9 years old. Now, we'll get to my tattoo in a minute, but first, here's my story. When I have an episode, I lose my appetite, and even the thought of eating just makes me more nauseous. So I don't eat for a day, for 2 days, or more. And yes, going without eating for that long only makes things exponentially worse. Eventually, I do snap out of it, but I don't know how or why I do. Sometimes after an hour, sometimes after 2 weeks. During my entire second week of college, I ate a tortilla and 3 animal crackers. I felt awful. Now, when I'm struggling with an episode, I don't want to eat, and I don't want to be asked if I'm hungry. I don't want to be asked what's wrong. For me, all the questions and suggestions from well-meaning friends, and as a kid, friends' parents, just create pure agony. Going to high school dances and having the big dinners beforehand was torture. Sean, why aren't you eating? School trips, family trips, new jobs, new clients, many of them were plagued by my anxiety. Since I was 15, I've worked with 6 different therapists and counselors trying to pinpoint the triggers for whatever causes these episodes. For me, after 15 years of therapy and frustration, I never found the triggers. For a while, I was sure it was because of traveling. And sometimes it was, but sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was work, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it seemed to be caused by nothing at all. The only thing I learned for certain was how I could make an episode so much worse. While hard to measure, some studies have shown that 1 out of 5 adults struggle with an anxiety disorder, and 1 out of 4 children struggle with an anxiety disorder. My story with anxiety, just like everyone else's, is as unique as the rest of me. And if you don't struggle personally with anxiety yourself, the odds are that some of your friends and family do. Oh, and it's not something that can be fixed by being told to relax or toughen up or being told you're fine. In fact, that usually makes things way, way worse. A few of my friends were courageous and generous enough to share their stories with me on camera. While I have over 6 hours of footage illuminating the struggles and triumphs of these individuals and their lives with anxiety, I've done my best to whittle it down to a few minutes, hoping to represent some of the variety of their experience as well as the commonality that they've had with their experiences. Everyone that I talked to had different symptoms and intensity, different language about it, different possible triggers, both known and unknown, and different coping mechanisms. But a lot of them ended up having very similar advice. I'll let them tell you.
The definition of anxiety to me is uncertain panic. A lot of people find that very exciting, like not knowing what's gonna happen. Oh, this is cool, you know? It's an adventure, and like with me, it's just like, no, that's terrifying. I don't like that.
It's funny because I have no problem socializing. But when I'm having an anxiety, crisis, attack, whatever, I tend to shut down. I tend to I don't want to talk to people. So if people try to come talk to me, it actually increases.
So if I start the snowball down the hill, I'll start going tunnel vision and I'll completely forget about everything going on around me and I'll focus only on that.
I know my palms get really sweaty, my heart starts racing, and you just kind of feel freaked out in a sense, like you can't control what's happening.
Being a mom, it's a huge trigger. So it's challenging because there is no break from being a mom.
If I sense some sort of conflict, or maybe I've done something wrong, or misread an email, I'll spin a narrative in my mind. And that's like where the heart of my anxiety lies, is I'll create it for myself. It's not like something I suffer from, it's something that I suffer from because I create it for myself.
I get anxiety from being around, especially the people that will be like, oh, just stop it, you're fine, that's nothing. And I'm like...
Whereas most people, like you said, would just be like, dude, they didn't mean anything by it, just be cool. Like, cool it, you're fine, just lay off yourself. It's like, you don't understand, like you don't get it, like it's got momentum and I'm running with it. And
the answer can be many things. For me is therapy, every 2 weeks, meditating, eating healthy food, and being committed to be myself, despite what people are gonna think.
You know, I just found that, you know, probably the easiest way to cope with it is just like breathing exercises and talking to people that have that issue.
I can tell once I start to get out of it, because typically I'll either go on a drive or go work out or talk to somebody. Those are the 3 main things that I use.
My recommendation is to love the person, to really just give your most loving self as a support. And maybe that will make those people more comfortable to realize that they have a safe place to say, I'm not okay, or I need help.
I would definitely say to talk to someone you trust, whether it's your mom, dad, brother, sister, friend, cousin, whomever. Talk to this one person that you know will just sit and listen to you.
Nobody out there is going to shame you or, you know, make fun of you or, you know, basically put you down because you're suffering through something. There's not one soul out there or in your social network that, or your family or friends, that would do that to you. So just take that first step. You know, the sting of making the first step is far less great than the burn that you're going to feel if you don't do that.
You're not weird. You're not, you know, crazy or something like that, sick, you know, broken.
Anxiety and mental health issues present themselves in an exhaustive variety of ways. And there's no single right answer on how to get help for yourself or for someone else. But with everyone that I talked to, the advice that they seemed to have was this: regardless of whether you yourself suffer or not, be sensitive to and patient with other people. You never know who could be struggling, why they're struggling, or how they're struggling. And if you do suffer yourself from any level of anxiety, you can talk to someone when you're ready. Don't keep it bottled up because you think anybody close to you would judge you or make you feel embarrassed. There may be some awesome resources in your area, at your school, or in your community. Don't be afraid to reach out. Because for me, the hardest part of having anxiety is pretending like I don't. Oh, and if you want to hear about my tattoo, just ask me sometime. I've struggled with anxiety since I was 9 years old. I finally nailed what I was trying to say. That better go in there somewhere. Is pretending like there aren't 1,000 cars.
Can you tell me where Zia's is?
Zia's, if you go up one more block to Wilson and take a right, don't be afraid to ask questions. It's not like I'm in the middle of doing something.